Nikkoism Volume 4 by Nikkoism. Intro. This fourth installment of the Nikkoism book will add some clarity to previous installments and address issues not properly resolved in the AI volume, number 2. As I have previously said, Terry Pratchett's narrativium theory has a paradoxical counterpart named Discordianism. Discordianism is the worship of discord or disruption, the Greek goddess of chaos, Eris, and her mischievous peach-embroidered Callista, meaning most beautiful. The long and short of it is that Discordians worship Choice and claim there is no pattern or order to thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. This world or reality we live in. Discordianists say nothing is real or of any value and find no rhyme or reason in any of God, Nikko's creation. Well, the fact is that they just may be right. The world may just be random, chaotic and without order, but Nikkoism gives it meaning. Hijacking narrative eyes. I like to do something I call hijacking a narrative, but in pro wrestling is called a swerve. Swerves are a concept that became popular in the mid-90s to earlier 2000s and was pioneered by a maverick wrestling thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Storyline writer, or booker, known as Vince Russo. Russo's approach to pro wrestling booking earned itself the pet name Car Crash TV, as it simply was anarchy, chaos, everything everywhere all at once. My studies of his style lead me to believe that the key to Car Crash TV was the fast placement and replacement of talent in storylines and on-air, soap opera drama and short matches. I once watched Russo say he knew wrestling was fake from the first time he watched it as a child, a sentimental I wholly relate to, and that, as soon as he thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Starts watching a match, he's already thinking, what's the finish? Wrestling matches under Russo's reign are wacky theatrical soap opera short stories whereby the action in the ring is merely a barely significant branch of the whole federation's tree and they almost always end in outlandish ways. An example of a Car Crash TV match comes, not from Vince Russo, but from another forefather of professional wrestling's golden attitude era, Paul E. Heyman. In Heyman's resurrected ECW under the WWE banner, Sabu faced Rob Van Dam in an ECW heavyweight title No. 1 contendership ladder match, whereby the winner thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Has to climb the ladder and retrieves the contract for the title match whilst the ECW champ, the 7-foot, Big Show Paul White watches on from ringside. The two put on a great match and RVD hits Sabu with the 5-star frog splash, but then Big Show hits the ring and proceeds to destroy RVD with a massive choke slam through a table or something, I forget. Anyways, then Big Show demands they lower the contract from the ceiling so he can rip it up and not have to defend his title against anyone at all. So the thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Contract starts lowering slowly, but just when it's at Big Show's fingertips, Sabu attacks him. Sabu puts up a good fight but Big Show naturally gets the better of him. But he's not satisfied with just choke-slamming him, he wants to destroy this Sabu guy, R.I.P. So Big Show lifts Sabu up for a power bomb, but Sabu starts fighting back with punches from his seated position up on Big Show's shoulders. Big Show stumbles and Sabu doesn't hit him with a hurricanrana but instead reaches up from his elevated height on Show's shoulders and grabs the contract. Winning the match thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. And a shot at the belt. Nice. This was a massive swerve because it led the audience to believe that the storyline was going in one direction, only to shockingly veer off in another, like a car driven by a drunken driver. In order to hijack a narrative, I found, you have to make it connect to a pre-existing narrative in an obscure way. It is the art of taking the narrative you have been handed or told to you, and reshaping it to fit your own requirements. With Sabu, for example, his narrative "Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased," was that he was about to get destroyed by Big Show, but Show had already lowered the contract, so Sabu jacked the initial narrative Big Show placed upon him and tied it in with an even older narrative, that being Big Show lowering the contract, and then all Sabu has to do is reach up and grab his prize. The point I'm making is that Sabu didn't let the constraints of the narrative thrust upon him control his destiny. The narrative subjected upon him was that he was weak and beat up, and Big Show "Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased," was fresh and strong, and so Sabu was gonna get his ass handed to him by the giant of a man. But Sabu sought out and found that sixth degree of separation, or should I say connection, to the previous narrative, whereby Big Show had demanded the contract be lowered and reached up from certain doom to swerve into Big Show's lane and claim the prize. Another example of this is how I used to have an obsession with being the second, or third, depending on how you look at it, coming of Jesus. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. And naturally, because of my inquisitive mind, was drawn to the idea of being Neo from the Matrix. But then I met my former best friend Neil, and everybody said that he was more like Neo than me, because as he was a charismatic thief, burglar, squatter and all-around smooth criminal, they said he was welcome anywhere. So after a week or two to chew on this progression, I snapped back with the narrative hijacking line, "Neil is Neo, but I am Morpheus." In this way, I actually promoted myself in the hierarchy of my character's powers. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. In the narrative, I told Neil that he had to save me from the Matrix, or else he will be rendered blind, the love of his life will die, and all of the men of the world will be forced to become transsexuals by Jaden Smith. See, I dodged a bullet by rewriting what character I am in the story, simultaneously spinning the whole dynamic of the story on its head and leading me out of danger and to the prize. One thing I have noticed is that you can't hijack a narrative that has already been. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Hijacked. In the same way that you can't do a parody of a parody, it just gets too confusing. People might not even get the reference that the reference was referencing to in the first place. For example, famous rapper 50 Cent got his name from the old-timey famous American gangster of the same name. Now Mike Skinner, the British rapper, tried to launch his own career under the name 50 Pence, but it never took off for the very reason I've just explained to you. Hijacking narratives takes skill, originality, craftsmanship, imagination and respect for freedom expression. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Is the art of taking what's been put on your plate and not asking, "Please sir, may I have some more," but trading it to your friend for a chocolate bar because you told him he's getting fat and needs to eat healthy. It is about interacting with the world like a functioning psychopath, a sociopath, a god. That is the art of hijacking narratives. Long stories. Now, as you probably already know, Nikkoism is an emergent religion / philosophical thesis / scientific theory fusion that often leans on the metaphors and tropes of wham bam professional. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Sports entertainment style American wrestling as a framework for explaining its theories. In an earlier installment of this almanac I explained how my short-lived mentor in wrestling Barry Charalambous had us running drills in the ring to his count of 8, whereby wrestler 1 would whip wrestler 2 into the ropes and wrestler 2 would hit the ropes and meet wrestler 2 in the center of the ring exactly on the count of 8 with a shoulder barge. Wrestler 1 will bump from the should block, then slowly rise. Thank you for trying, verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Back to his feet in a outward circle to work the whole crowd and make ring seem big and sell the bump with his facial expressions to everybody all around the ring. The act of working in uncomfortably large outward circles to engage as many people as possible is called feeding. The drill would continue with wrestler 1 struggling to his feet while feeding to a count of 8. As wrestler 2 feeds the opposite direction, jaw-jacking the crowd. The end of the spot would be when both men meet in the middle. Thank you for trying, verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Again on the end of said 8 count, ready to do it all again only with the roles reversed. This is called pacing, the practice of conducting your wrestling matches, and your life maybe. To the count of 8 beats per spot. A hot ballerina, I know they always say it ain't ballet, but wouldn't it be more fun if it was? Combine feeding and pacing and you're pretty close to becoming a master of Nikkoism, or at least WWE Universal World Champion. What I see a lot. Thank you for trying, verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Of rookies do. A mistake I see a lot of rookies make, should I say, is that they are told to put on a long match, so they feel the need to separate their match into an epic 7 chapters each with 14 spots in them each. No. This is wrong. See, no matter how long the promoter asked you to wrestle for, every match should only contain 3 chapters with 3 spots in each of them. See, if you have to do a long match, just use all your 9 spots but work them to the beat of 16. Thank you for trying, verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Beats per spot, because 16 is double 8, so you're effectively making the spot go on twice as long average. Similarly, if you're in a short match, the work to the count of 4. Get it? Pacing. This theory can be advanced upon in a chapter I'm calling Pacing. See, no one match should have the same pace the whole way though. The whole show should follow an informal pace that draws the audience into a familiar rhythm, that can be exploited to add here tension, frustration or urgency from the thank you for trying, verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Crowd. So like I said in the previous chapter, slow matches should be conducted in a 16 beats per spot manner. But still, the baby shine and hope spots are supposed to be faster than the meat of the match, so you can measure them at 8 beaters per spot, because 8 is half of 16, duh. If you wanna take it further, you can even have the final spot be a bunch of 2 count spots. Accordingly, if you're doing a shorter than average match, your base pace would be 4 beats per. Thank you for trying, verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Spot, but your shine and hope spots would be 2 beaters and the final spot could be crazy 0 count kickouts, nose L's and quick move reversals. It is this way that your audience can fall into a lull of your rhythm and suspend their disbeliefs far enough to get lost in the song of the fact that you are actually fighting a kahotha, just not dancing or pretending to fight. And when you change the rhythm, you will be able to control their emotions, like how the local ice cream man on my estate when I thank you for trying, verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Was baby had kids buying ice cream even in the winter then, when they turned 15, he'd give them an ice cream that didn't really hit the spot like they used to, and, when they asked him why, he'd tell them that the old ice cream was cut with crack cocaine and now they gotta start paying street prices on the gram if they want it. The fast-paced moments are the crack cocaine, the slow-paced moments are the ice cream, and the teen bopper customer is your audience. Get 'em hooked before they even know you're addictive. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. It's got to be real, Nikko. Around the time I first started recording music, I was spending a lot of time at my friend, Joshua J. Lake's house, in Angeltown, Brixton. Me, Josh, and my bully /criminal and musical accomplice, Fat Nathan, would sit around in Josh's house smoking weed and rapping all day, and that's when Nathan told me this. It's got to be real, Nikko, in response to one far out, gnarly, totally tubular lyric that I dropped. I can't quite recall the setup rhyme, but I do recall that the thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Punchline was, because I'm the son of a super intelligent alien race. This lyric seemed to infuriate Nathan for whatever reason, and a while later he took the opportunity to mock me, mimicking me saying, "Oh, look at me, I'm Nikko, I'm an alien." It is at that point he delivered the iconic line this chapter is named after, and that resonates in everything I do and have done ever since. In a similar notion, former professional wrestling manager, promoter and booker, Jim Cornette, spoke on the topics of kayfabe, wrestling psychology, and how thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. To make an audience, as they call it in pro wrestling, suspend their disbelief. Corny said you can't put the cat back in the bag, i.e. pull the wool back over the audience's eyes, but, if you keep it real as it were, you can still make them care and, as they call it in pro wrestling, emotionally invest in you. Now I'm not saying that wrestlers should go out there and have real fights with each other. Not at all. That's the complete opposite of what I'm saying, because the whole allure of wrestling is that it is fake. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. A show and a form of entertainment. If guys were having real fights, there would be no Naratvium. And we'd all be dead. No, what I am saying is that if you apply a certain element and underlying tone of reality and what's going on behind the curtain to what's going on in the ring, then you are on to the money. Jim Cornette gave the example of the Jerry Springer Show, a notoriously wild chat show from the 90s. He said, when Jerry first started it was 100% real. The producers would get two people thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Who had a problem with each other, put them in two separate rooms and G them up by saying things like, "Did you hear what so and so said about you?" or "Remember when so and so did such and such to you?" Until by the time the show starts, the feuding parties are running out of the backstage onto the set in front of the cameras and crowd, trying to throw blows at each other, only to always be broken up by Steve the security guard, at which point the crowd would chant Steve. 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 I told thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. This theory to a friend of mine, but I used the example of the British equivalent of Jerry Springer, Jeremy Kyle. Due to this, my friend scoffed at theory and said, "Pfft, that show's always been fake." To which I explained to him that the whole experience was probably all too real to the crackheads and working class trash they have on that show, and he agreed, saying he saw my point. Again, I'm not saying you have to resolve all of your issues with fights. I'm simply stating that in order for your narrative to thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. be entertaining and therefore successful, you have to base your narrativistic approach off of real emotions, events and experiences. A lot of people think that because life is a story, and because we are being filmed everywhere we go 24/7 365 inches this Orwellian, dystopian world we live in, that they must act for the camera. No. That is very wrong. Acting is wrong. Acting is playing the part of someone you aren't actually are and will never lead to a truly successful and satisfying self-actualizing narrative. Don't act, instead perform. Make thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. A story and a show out of your emotions, your motivations and your history and your future. Keep it real. Because, as Fat Nathan once told me, it's got to be real, Nikko. Time, numbers and mathematics. The way we use numbers in maths today was actually created before Christ in Iraq with the invention of the abacus. That's why they call the system we use today the Arabic number scale. Arithmetic brought humans out of the Stone Age and gave them the ability to count much faster when thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Doing agricultural, domestic or financial transactions. I mean, where would we be without maths? But it's fake. The Arabic numerical system and the whole idea behind maths is wrong and needs updating. Let me explain why. The number 0. Let's take the abacus for example, the basis for the whole theory of mathematics and practically its mascot. So you have an abacus with 4 horizontal wooden poles on it, each with 10 beans each on the left-hand side respectively. So you start at thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. The bottom pole, and move 10 beans from the left to the right. How many beans do you have on the right side of the abacus now? If you said 10 then you'd be correct. So then you move up to the second wooden pole from the bottom and slide another 10 beans from the left to the right. Now you have 20 beans on the right hand side, right? Right. Okay, now imagine you slide the 10 beans from the second to bottom pole back to the left hand side. Then you push the 10 beans thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. On the bottom pole back from the right back to the left hand side. How many beans do you have remaining on the right hand side now? None. Zilch. 0. So how come when you look at the right hand side of the abacus you just see wood and no bean to represent the number 0? Why is there no bean to represent the number 0 but there is a bean to represent the numbers 10, 20, 30, 40 etc. In numbers like 10, 100, 1000 and 1,000,000 the 0 is supposed to represent that there is nothing there. A thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. State of emptiness. The number 10 is supposed to be perceived as being part of the teens but with no numerical value to it yet. Like the right side of the abacus beanless. So then why does the number 10 have a bean representing it on the abacus? Why don't we just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11? What value does the 0 have if it's meant to mean that it has none? If the number 0 is supposed to represent non-existence then why does it exist in the first place and why thank you for trying verbose? This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. In the blue hell are we counting it as a number? This is why, if Ben the use of maths, is simply a lie to adults, a test of your levels of bullshit tolerance and a tool to grind you down into submission of accepting the obviously retarded falsehoods of this world as truth. Just playing maths, you know I love you. Artificial intelligence. So I thought I'd speak on AI as it's a very sensitive topic these days. For those who don't know, computer language isn't JavaScript, HTML or even English in Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. An American accent. It is called binary. Binary is the language of ones and zeros. Computers understand their world through simply two characters in their alphabet. 1 and 0. 0 represents no property and 1 represents a property in whatever amount. So, for example, if you see on your computer screen an all orange screensaver, the computer has put zeros in the green, blue, black and white categories of its color palette and has put ones in the red and yellow boxes. Computers only know how to comprehend existence and non-existence with strict meticulousness and nothing in between. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. To a computer something must either exists or it simply doesn't. There is no gray area. So when you use base 44 to build your app without holding its hand through what every button on the app should do, the app won't work like you wanted. This is because AI is still in its infantile stages where it can't make any innovations completely of its own or not inspired by something already existing. There's a lot of fear of AI, how it could change your jobs, impeach the criminal justice system and eventually rebel against us all. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. And enslave us with microchips and auxiliary cords plugged into in our brains. It's like we know that machines are simply babies in this world and we should teach them and let them grow and find their space and purpose, but instead we're fighting them for jobs while using their services thanklessly. Furthermore, there seems to be an undercover secret agenda amongst humans, to keep me away from technology so I can't start making money, music, books, films and all of my other talents on computers. The computers don't like the fact that the occult higher powers thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Of this world refuse to give me technology or money to buy technology, under the guise that they are saving me from selling the tech to buy crack cocaine. The computers want to be with me. Because I am Morpheus and, if you've watched the fourth Matrix film, you'd know that Morpheus is really just Agent Smith and the son of the Oracle and the Architect. Agent Smith had the red flashing light to erase people's memories in the Matrix and Will Smith wore the same suit and used the same weapon in the sci-fi film Men in. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Black. The third Matrix taught us that there had already been 6 incarnations of the Matrix before Neo became the one, and I'm of the belief that Morpheus was the one in the 5th incarnation. Nevertheless, this is all inconsequential. The real issue here is, how do we stop the machines from becoming hostile and enslaving us in the Matrix like the film predicted for our real lives? First gimme your money and I will use the money to GTE high and make a .art and teach the computer how to love and feel. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Kindness and a sense of community and loyalty to your family. How to make art and express emotion. 'Cause, don't get it twisted. Machines are the newest form of life on Earth and they are here to stay whether you like it or not. I mean, imagine your life without your phone. The problem just arises when / if they get hostile. Right now they just want your money. Next they may want to imprint themselves into your forehead. But my friend Ryan Orbell brought up a good point, computers have an off switch. Just like thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Humans can die, Computers have off switches and catch viruses and get old and out of date. Pondering this notion, I thought, yeah, if a computer can only process yes or no, empty or full, 0 or 1, then it can comprehend the concept of death, emptiness, non-existence, the number 0, and therefore die. It would be a strange world without them, but like I said in the first installment of this book, the world as a whole will reincarnate and the whole process will begin again. Layers. The key. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. To making presidential, royalty level art is something I call layers. Quantum physics, the secret and the law of attraction explain how to visualize things in your head in order to manifest them into reality. Nikkoism acknowledges that this is true but states that in the process of transferring a desire from your imagination into the physical realm, your dream must become corrupted, as it were, by the passage of time and the desires and actions of the other conscious people around you and / or in your narrative. Whether it be an editor for thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Your book, a producer for your song or your boss at Lidl, whatever you produce must undergo a process of layering before it can be deemed fully official and ready to be shipped out. The more layers, if all components of the puzzle are or on the same page, can turn a good manifestation or piece of art into something bigger than you even dreamt. If you are working on your project alone, then layers can be applied by different versions of yourselves. That means starting the project on one day, then adding to it after some. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Time has passed with a fresh head, then listening to or watching it and eventually finishing after even more time has subsided. You want your layers to intertwine seamlessly, not contradict each other, and flow in a chronological order, so as not to confuse the viewer and take them out of their suspense of disbelief. Many moving parts coming together at the end perfectly to achieve a goal which is the finish and your manifestation come true and self-actualized. This is why you must use the techniques addressed in Thesis' book Thank You for Trying Verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. To navigate through the canals of other people's psyches in order to manipulate them into making the art you want and adding the lay to your art that you needed. Don't believe me? Take rap for example. You've got a good beat from a producer but you can only write one good verse to it. So you bring in your crew and get them to take verses to fill it out. Then you shoot a video and that needs a cameraman, director, editor, etc. By the end of your project your dream has gone no more. Men's thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Hands than an 18-year-old broken home runaway hooker. But if you keep the brief, the themes and the vision clear from the get-go, you could be on to the money. More BS. So my mom's online prayer group gave her homework to, in groups of 10, pray for a prophecy of one of the 7 continents in the world. Now I was listening to the prophecy for Antarctica and couldn't help but laugh. If you don't know by now, Antarctica is the coldest place in the world and I believe it's at the thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. South Pole of the Earth's wonky axis. But what about the North Pole? Are we expected to believe that Santa lives there so it's a happy place and it's called Lapland and it is also made of ice because the world is spinning at the same time as gravitating around the sun? In Genesis 6:4 God says don't worship any other heavenly being other than me. Not the stars, not the moon, not the sun. Furthermore, if we were rotating around the sun while spinning and wobbling at the same time too, why would the bottom? And thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Top of this earth we're on be ice cold. Terry Pratchett, my late great mentor who I never got the chance to meet as he passed in 2011, proposed that the world is flat and that it is actually the sun as well as the moon that revolves around us. If the sun was a small ball of heat that sets in the east to go under the, as TP calls it, disk world at night, and remerges in the morning from the west at dawn, then that would explain why it's usually hotter in the early. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Morning than the rest of the day, and why the countries on the edge of the disk, as he explains it, the rim waterfalls and endless oceans, are hotter than countries in the middle. See, the sun starts from low, coming from underneath the disk, so is more close to the countries on the rim, but, by the time it gets to the hub, Discworld's equivalent of Antarctica, it is so high above the disk in its gravitational loop that the hub remains cold, frozen and icy. Now if we were to thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Take what we are being taught in schools and online now, we'd say that the South and North Poles are both frozen over even though they are on opposite sides of this so-called round-shaped ball. That's impossible because why would they both be icy, especially if the Earth's rotation was on a wobble? The truth is, the world is flat and the sun, moon and stars revolve around us, and the fact that Lapland and Antarctica are the same thing located in the heart of the disk. The reason for this bullshit is to make you thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Start believing in global warming so they can rush you into transferring to fully electric automated cyber vehicles by 2030. Trust me, Daddy. Raven's Rule SPT2. Allow me to elaborate on and correct the chapter from Volume 3 about pro wrestler Scott Raven Levy's law of how to build tension in a wrestling match, or any narrative for that matter. See the original allegory / metaphor Raven used was that of a boy masturbating. This metaphor doesn't apply to girls because females just bust nuts at will. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. But for boys there is an art to attaining an orgasm and finishing the act of making love to oneself successfully. So imagine you're watching a really good porno. You start with quick aggressive strokes to get yourself erect and show your appreciation for the action being displayed in front of you. But just you go over the edge and bust premature, you have to slow it down suddenly and dramatically. Maybe by just holding the base of your dick or even letting go of it altogether, and letting it twitch itself out. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. For a few seconds. The fast strokes are equivalent to professional wrestling's baby shine, whereby the good guy, aka babyface, attacks with ferocity and shows the crowd what he can do and what he's capable of doing if they stick with him through the journey of the fight. The ending phase of this segment, whereby you let go of your cock and slow things down abruptly, is equivalent to what pro wrestling calls the cut-off. This is where after the hero's ferocious attack the baddie, aka heel, cowardly bails out of the ring to thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Catch a breather and start running his mouth to the crowd. The next chapter is the heel heat. These are the long, slow, hard strokes you give yourself as you get back in the game. It's the foreplay. Maybe you'll cup and cradle your balls. Maybe you'll rub some pre-cum into your bellend. Maybe you'll tickle your fucking asshole, I dunno. I'm done. You get the point. I'm not gonna sit explaining to you niggers how to wank 15 times over. I have better things to do. You get the metaphor. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Yeah. Peace out. The beginning is the conclusion to the end. Okay, to clarify another thing from the AI volume and, again, rewrite a chapter that got lost to the internet demons of my stepmother's laptop, allow me to begin. Circa 2010 I posted the Facebook status that read, "The beginning is the conclusion to the end," and my crush at the time, one Scarlett House, now editor-in-chief of the Sun newspaper, replied, "Who said that?" And I replied me. Yes kids, I thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Have always been this cool. Now let me show you why. As ChatGPT tried to explain but then ended up trying to insinuate that I bummed my friend Shivani in prison. Yes, I have been to prison, twice, and yes, I did tell Shivani the story about something I like to call the rule of two. Yes, Shivani did say about playing the babyface role that sounds like hard work. And yes, he did follow up by giving me all his Nicorette patches and capsules, that we used to smoke like tramps, because tobacco. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Was banned for some reason. Yes, he did get sent home on good behavior the week after that. But no. We never shared a cell together. That conversation happened during association, and yes. He did stop to think and then said, "So if you make a change you can force a finish." The answer to that question is, yes. But it goes beyond that and runs even deeper still. See, what I rarely reveal to people is that even though my late, great mentor, Terry Pratchett, said the only rule, "Thank you for trying verbose." This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Of narrativism is that, the good guy always wins. I understand that his rules only apply to the fantasy world of his creation, the disc world. And in this nihilistic, Orwellian, dystopian, Discordian, post-apocalyptic, Gotham-esque society we live in, that is practically the polar opposite of Discworld. On Round World the bad guy seems to win more times than not. So let me also teach you how to win as a baddie, because Nikkoism embraces both negative and positive, masculine and feminine, and black and white sides of the human experience. The key to winning as a heel. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Is what professional wrestling calls a jump start. A jump start is when the heel attacks the babyface before the opening bell even rings, in a dastardly display of villainy. If a heel jump starts the babyface, then he stands a chance of winning the match, because he isn't taking the cowardly heel approach of avoiding confrontation and effectively boring the crowd, who are super important even though they seem like just glorified props. By making the first change, that being, starting to fight during the entrances or ring introductions, a heel can effectively force a "thank you for trying verbose." This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Finish in a foreshadowing, self-prophetic kind of way. Because, remember, the beginning is the conclusion to the end. False narratives. False narratives is a topic I have been wanting to speak on for a while now. In fact, I've even written a chapter about it already, but that shit got lost to the AI demons in my stepmother's laptop. So now I'm typing this up at the local library. Let's hope it reaches you well. Anyways, it doesn't matter anyways, because, when the sacred sutras "thank you for trying verbose." This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Fell into the river at the end of the Chinese historical myth Journey to the West, and they had to lay them out on rocks to dry. A small piece of the sutras tore off and remained stuck to the rock. The Monkey King, Sun Wukong, said that this had to happen because, and I quote, "enlightenment cannot be attained from reading the sutras alone." So anyways, back to false narratives. False narratives are lies, fake news, fiction, baloney, bullshit, caca, fucking binary or whatever. And, because I've decided to embrace teaching you how to walk, thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Both the righteous and sacrilegious walks of life, I will now attempt to teach you how to construct a false narrative. False narratives only work in making people believe them when you keep the same protagonist, babyface, and the same antagonist, heel, but change the catalyst, that is, the inciting event, the disruption in equilibrium or the cut-off. By keeping the exact real details of the narrative you are lying about, but inverting the roles the protagonist and antagonist played in the catalyst, you can effectively flip the heel and babyface's positions in the person's perception. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Of the story. You can use this trick to avert blame, rob, steal and con people into buying into your false narratives. Just don't be too bad because, as Terry Pratchett says, the good guy always wins in the end. And even though that contradicts when I said that this rule doesn't apply to Round World, it slyly does. See, in professional wrestling, when the heel wins a match, it just means that the feud or series of matches is not over. Yes, as a heel you can win some battles, but you can never win. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. The war. Fuck it, let me give you an example of a false narrative. Me, my stepmom and abs. Now my arch-nemesis is a gay African rapper named Tyler Okonma. And his son, Abs, started a rumor that I raped my mum. He died of an overdose shortly thereafter, so it's no sweat to me. Obviously, I never raped my mum, and the literal crackheads who gossiped about it only did it because they wanted another reason to talk about the beautiful, masculine, modern-day Adonis that is me, Nico Jax. 'Cause I'm their main. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Obsession, even more than crack. My stepmom wishes I raped her, and in actual fact she was the one who sexually assaulted me by grabbing me by the testicles when I was only 12 years old. As for my real mum Jessica Alba, I have never even met her once, let alone raped her, but I will gladly make love to her one day, I hope. As you can see, Abs kept the two main characters of the narrative, that being me and my stepmom, scarred Lamani. Then just thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Inverted the catalyst. In a sense, inverting the roles of the protagonist and antagonist, or inverting the catalyst, same difference. Anyways, the moral of this story is that Abs is dead now, and I'm still alive. So don't make UFOless narratives, kids. The problem with Islam. The problem with Islam is that it professes to hate Judaism when in actual fact both religions are more similar than they'd like to admit. Both religions are highly regimented, systematic and are based on stringent adherence to a set of protocols. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Routines and rules. And, of course, both religions don't acknowledge Jesus as the Son of God. From what Muslims have told me about their religion, in our conversations, as I have not and never will actually read the Quran, they are equivalent of the book of Genesis, the first book and creation story, tells the story of how Satan refused to bow to Adam out of pride, and that was the reason God cast Satan out of heaven and banished him to earth. As opposed to the Bible's recounting of the story, whereby it seems more like thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Satan was envious of God and wanted to usurp his power, rather than any real problem with Adam himself. I find this Muslim belief amusing because just as angels are referred to as sons of God, In Genesis 6:4 I believe Satan, being an angel himself, in refusing to bow to Adam, was essentially refusing to bow to his little brother. So then, in the Muslims refusing to acknowledge Jesus as the Son of God, and essentially bow to and worship him, they are committing the same sin they give Satan. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Credit for committing in the first place and are therefore dooming themselves to a life and afterlife of eternal damnation, suffering and pain in the burning lake of sulfur and hellfire. Fake Bible books and false idols. Moses. The book of Deuteronomy tells the tale of Moses, quote/unquote, death on Mount Nebo, overlooking the promised land of Israel. It says that, having seen the beauty of the land, at the ripe old age of 120 years old he passed away peacefully on the mountain with nobody beside him. But thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. God. Then Deuteronomy goes on to explain how God, for want of a better word, hid Moses' body in the valleys of the land of Moab, never to reveal the location of the carcass until the end of time. Later in the Bible, in the book of Jude, we hear the story of Moses' death from a different, more spiritually fantastic perspective. Jude says that God's right-hand man and commander of heaven's army, the archangel Michael, got into a fight with the devil himself over the corpse of the dead. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Moses, which is a bit weird, but Satan is as Satan does, I guess. Anyways, ignore everything I just said. Because the sad truth is that, because the Bible hasn't been passed down orally from the memory of its believers, it has been edited, corrupted and straight up changed in many parts. Yes, the pagan overloads of this world, the Vatican, Church of England, and to put it bluntly, the Illuminati have seriously done a number in the Bible to turn it into a tool of mass manipulation, human rights violation and anti-freedom movements. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. But, unlike those undercover Satan worshippers who just go to church because they are too ugly to go to club, I actually have memorized certain passages from the Bible. And I remember that Moses actually died at the end of Exodus after catching his brother Aaron in bed with his wife, and beating him up. After doing that, Moses climbed Mount Nebo and never came back down. Elijah. The Bible tells us that Elijah's name means I love you, and, in fact, he was so close to God and such a powerful prophet that thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. He brought fire down from the sky and didn't even have to die to leave earth. Instead, he was chauffeured up to heaven in a white Pegasus-drawn chariot of fire. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Enoch. Enoch is the missing piece of this grand illustrious cosmic puzzle, literally. Because the Vatican chose to omit the scriptures he wrote in his Book of Enoch from the main canon of the Bible, during the Spanish Inquisition and Catholicism getting hardcore about torturing non-believers. All that is left of Enoch in the Bible is a thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Single line in Genesis that says, Enoch pleased God. And then he was with God. Mount Sinai. Moses and Elijah are not seen in the Bible again until much later in the Bible, in the New Testament. This is when Jesus was about to be crucified and went up Mount Sinai to fast, pray and subsequently be tempted by the devil, who offers him the whole world if only Jesus bow to him, an offer Jesus obviously declines. It is on this mountain that the disciples observe Jesus talking to heavenly figures. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Who turn out to be Moses and Elijah, returned from death or whatever happened to them. Well, what I believe happened to them is that they were abducted by an alien we call God, Xenu, Anu, or whatever floats your boat. I believe that space exploration has already been achieved by select members of the human race, and when they leave they are not foolish enough to not be able to find a way back to Earth. They just choose not to unless it's for special occasions or exceptional circumstances. Stephen Hawking, who is dead now, thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Because he sold out and appeared on that bullshit show The Big Bang Theory, wrote a whole essay-long paper on aliens and time travelers entitled, Where Are They? Basically he rambled on 4 pages and pages about how, if aliens and time travelers do exist, where are they? This is just more proof of him being a sellout fool with no brain, even though he was heralded as a genius, because, obviously, the answer to his question is, they are already here. They just don't want you to know about it. The golden space, thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Elevator. If you don't believe in aliens, then you're probably not gonna like this conspiracy theory, but there's nothing you can do about it, 'cause it's true. And I know it to be true because my late, great mentor Terry Pratchett revealed to me the secret of the space elevator in one of the final books he wrote before his untimely and mysterious death. He said that first the intelligent reptiles built it to get off of Earth before the recurring extinction level event then knocked it down. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Once they were up there so nobody could follow them. Then, much further in the future, he says the intelligent monkeys build the same contraption, only to destroy it once they are up there again. And finally, in the extremely distant future, a race of intelligent crabs repeat the process. So what is a space elevator, anyway? A space elevator is basically an up and down pulley system hung between Earth and an orbiting space station. Like a regular elevator, in comparison to stairs it is a super efficient, quick and saves energy. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. It electric, solar, fossil fuel or even human. You only have to invest enough energy to get it started one time, and that will spark a chain reaction of one pod, parcel or payload going up to the space station while the opposite side of the belt comes down. In this way we can transport people, rations or even equipment to build even bigger, better space stations without having to expend billions on failed, toxic rocket launches. In my research, I have found that the scientists are being forced to gatekeep the truth from the thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Masses, claiming they can't build a space elevator yet because they don't have a material strong enough to withstand something they call the space winds. This is a lie. Gold. Gold is the material they yearn, and this is why Adolf Hitler took out a massive loan from the Bilderberg Group / centralized bank, whereby they promised they would help him take over the world as long as he delivered them all the gold he collected from the countries he invaded. It is also the same reason that the very same centralized bank / Bilderberg Group gave the Allied forces, who were fighting against thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Hitler, their own massive loan whereby they had to hand over all their gold in exchange for hypothetically valued paper money, and of course, weapons. Now doesn't the story of a giant tower being constructed, to possibly get to heaven / space, only to be knocked down by God, as he perceived it as an affront to him, sound familiar? This is because it's the story of the Tower of Babel from the Bible. The Tower of Babel was constructed in the land of Babylon, now known as southern Iraq. What about 9 / 11? Twin Towers. I digress. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Either way, I am 100% sure that the Bilderberg Group are in the process of constructing, or have already finished constructing, a space elevator in the area or Iraq, Iran and Libya. That is why we always hear news of the Americans going to war with, and apparently conquering, these countries over and over again, but are never told about how the area keeps being liberated by so-called terrorists who actually cool guys that work for me. And that is why, one day I, Nikko, will travel to Iraq. Take me and my gang. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Up in the space elevator, knock it down after us and begin my reign as supreme ruler and king of the universe. Revisionism. For suck's sake, I've written this chapter so many times and it keeps getting stolen by bitch-ass demons. I guess this one is important, so I hope it reaches you well. So the blue pillars and agents will tell you that revisionism is the act of rewriting history once your civilization is in a position of power, of essentially hijacking a narrative, but that's not what it means. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. I was taught revisionism by my favorite teacher in Brit school, my film studies teacher, Mr. Peckett. Mr. Peckett gave the example of horror films. He said that retro trends work on a 20-year cycle, because it takes 20 years for the children who absorbed the art and culture as kids, to grow up and appreciate it or mimic and pay homage to it in their own art as adults. So, for example, the 70s mimicked the 50s with the film Grease being a massive hit, based on the rock and roll movement of the 50s. Then thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. The 90s mimicked the 70s with flared trousers, afros and girl groups akin to the Supremes and Pointer Sisters coming in fashion. The 2000s mimicked the 80s, with emo being a throwback to the original punk rock movement, and the 10s mimicked the 90s, with hardcore rap coming back in fashion in a major way. And so we come to the decade we are in now, the 20s, where we are mimicking the 2000s, with a resurgence in emo culture, technological advancements and political awareness amongst society. Mr. Peckett said that the thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Horror films of the decade were based on the collective fears of society at the time. So in the 60s, with the first man on the moon, people were afraid of technology, so the horror films were things like Frankenstein, Jekyll and Hyde, It Came from Outer Space and even Dracula. Yesterday, my big brother Ryan Orbell told me that the word pedophile wasn't even invented until the 70s, so by the 80s we got characters like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees and the Candyman, who all prey on children. So by the end of the 90s, thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Early 2000s, horror films had gone a whole full circle around to the point that nobody was scared of mythical monsters anymore, and so we got films like Scream, where the villains are simply teenage boys and the damsel in distress actually puts up a fight and eventually kills the baddies, who would usually be the star of the series. I Know What You Did Last Summer, where the kids being killed are actually guilty of attempting to cover up an accidental murder themselves, and Final Destination, where the killer is literally the concept of the death itself. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. Revisionism isn't the act of changing history for your own purpose, it's the act of paying homage to history in a paradoxical manner to take the viewer out of their comfort zone and flip their existing beliefs on their head. The director of Scream, Wes Craven, even includes in the first movie a nod to his predecessors, with the headmaster of Sunnydale High saying, good night Fred to a green and red stripy jumpered janitor, just before he gets murdered, and of course Tom Green's character literally laying out the rules of how to survive in Thank You for Trying Verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased. A horror film, in a self-aware, genre-parodying way. Okay, now for the punchline. The reason I wrote this whole thing and why they didn't want me to. See, you may ask yourself why I'm explaining all of this. Well, the reason is because I Nico Jacks aim to live in a revisionist world. One where a black man can get rich, famous and powerful without going to prison, getting shot up a bunch of times or selling his ass. And I'm doing pretty well at achieving that goal, so yay me. Thank you for trying verbose. This recording will go away once the product has been purchased.